Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, it seems that Boris Johnson will face a confidence vote, a vote in his competence or his confidence or whatever the hell you want to put it. Whichever way you want to put it, they're going to have a vote into it. And imagine just after, I don't know, it's a very short space of time that Boris Johnson has become the Prime Minister of this country, right? I remember after they told us, that Jeremy Corbyn would be so bad for you, he would be terrible for you, right? And right now, everything in this country is the worst ever. But they will still tell you, oh no, but Jeremy Corbyn would have been so much worse for you. You have to wonder why the hell, yeah, all of these, right, exceptionally rich people went all out to stop Jeremy Corbyn from being the Prime Minister of this country, right? And they put in someone who was so unsuitable, right? That the person has done over 100 years worth of damage to the country in just the space of 2 years. Everything in this country has been destroyed by Boris Johnson, right? And no wonder they're going to face a vote of no confidence in him. Because Boris Johnson has been a complete nightmare as a Prime Minister. He has been really rubbish at the job. I mean, you've got to admit that he has been really, really rubbish at the job. The job of Prime Minister, yeah, was not made up for someone like Boris Johnson, right? Because being the prime minister, yeah, the rules and the law set around the prime minister are very loose because the prime minister and ministers, yeah, these are supposed to be right honourable people. And that's the last thing we can say about Boris Johnson, right? If you go to America, it's the same in America, right? Their code was not set up for someone like Donald Trump because these people they don't abide by any type of rules. So that's the reason why these rules was never ever set up for them. So that's where the problem always comes in. But Boris Johnson seems to have so much support still in this country, even though, right, he's destroyed. So I mean, some of the people like who are voting for him, he's completely destroyed their lives, completely destroyed their lives because you've got disabled people, yeah, who are having real problems, right, running electrical equipment in their houses, right, that they need for their to stay alive, right. And now they've just had like what £750 put onto their bill. Right, yeah, I know they've given them a little something, something, to try and get them through, right? And most of them will be on the top rate of that, yeah. But that's just your money for your energy costs. What about all the rest of it? Right? Most disabled people they need a car to get around. you know so those fuel costs, they're going to have to come up with those fuel costs themselves. Do you know what I mean? They've got no choice. They've got no choice in that. Well, that goddamn fridge is so noisy. Well, yeah, so they've got no choice in that. Sorry. That fridge is taking the piss. Yeah, so they've got no choice in that, right? So they've just got to they've just got to carry on through. But I don't understand, yeah, the people in this country who still support Boris Johnson, and I don't understand how so much more Tory MPs haven't come out and said, you know what now, but the problem is, right, Boris Johnson he's got about 179 MPs, yeah, on his payroll, right? We're working for the government, so they all work directly for the government. So what? How they're looking at it is that all of those people should vote, right, to keep him in power, so that he's there to fight the next election, right? Which for me, which is what Labour really want. Labour really want Boris Johnson to be there to fight the next election. Do you know what I mean? And then the country can and then the country itself can get this to decide on Boris Johnson's fate. But whether or not the country can take another 2 years of Boris Johnson, that's a thing that that none of us will ever know whether this country can take another 2 years of Boris Johnson. I don't think it can. Right? Because I think by the time the next election comes, yeah, this country would be so, it would be so badly destroyed that people will be wondering why the hell did we vote in our dirty, stinking, racist way. And also, welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages you sent me, and a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages, I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. That damn fridge. The fridge is only a little thing like this, yeah, and it's kicking up all that noise. Tonight, Scotland take on the Ukraine, right, in a World Cup qualifying match. And we say, whoa, oh dear, who are we supporting then? Well, I'm supporting Scotland. Okay, right, that's it, right. I'm not going to take my support away from the Scots. This is football now. This is not the Eurovision Song Contest. Okay, right, so this is football, right, and I want the Scots, right, to be at the World Cup finals. But we have a major dilemma there, yeah, because obviously whoever wins this game, I believe they've got to go and play they've got to go and play Wales, and at that point, that's going to be, if Scotland win this, now that's going to be really difficult because I want Scotland and Wales to be there. But all I'm going to do is we're going to cross that bridge if we come to it. Archbishop Justin Welby has asked us to forgive Andrew Windsor, the Duke of York, ex-Prince Andrew. He's asking for forgiveness. And I say, well, I mean, the thing is, right, he's not, because he hasn't been convicted of anything, and, he paid the money out. And let me tell you this, right, anybody, right, that was in his position, which he shouldn't have been in the first place, if he had any sense, right, he wouldn't have been in that position in the first place. But you see, when these guys, yeah, was running around the world, yeah, and trafficking young girls all over the world was a completely different place. The world used to look at these things as, well, he's just a randy old kid who messes about with young girls. That's how the world used to look at it back in those days. It would be like, oh well, that man up the road a bit creepy, so just keep away from him. The world didn't, how people are bang on the whole paedophile thing nowadays. Yeah, the world wasn't like that. Remember Jimmy Savile? Like he was known, right? I heard a story where one of the nurses said, you know what? This is just after Jimmy Savile had died, of course, because that's when all the stories come out, right? But I heard a story where the nurse said where she was a sister on one of the wards where Jimmy Savile used to do a lot of his charity work, right? And she used to say to all of the young girl patients, she said, listen, if Uncle Jimmy comes to you in the night, just pretend you're sleeping, yeah? Just pretend you're sleeping. Right, so they all knew from back then. Do you know what I mean? There was massive stories. Do you know what I mean, about how about on the things he used to do when he was on Top of the Pops and all these things. So they all knew about all these things. So now we've got the case where we've got like Andrew Windsor who's asking for forgiveness, and let me tell you, most people in that position would have paid out. Even though, as I said, you shouldn't have yourself in that position in the first place, but you'd have to pay out because the girl in the I can't remember what her name is, Veronica, something Dufresne or something like that, right? But she right has got him like that. And that was his problem. That was his problem all the time. She had him by the short and the curlies because he could not go to court and say, but that picture just it just spoke a million words because there was no real, he couldn't, he was trying to say, well, that picture could be doctored. Right, and after all these years, right, whether or not she's still got the original picture is something completely different. But remember, when he took that picture, the world was a completely different place, right? And and he, as far as he was concerned, right, because I've heard stories about him not being a very nice person. As far as he was concerned, yeah, he's Prince Andrew, and he could do whatever the hell he wanted to do. Right. So now the Archbishop's managed to get himself into real problems, right? Because people are saying, well, hold on a minute, you're there speaking, yeah, from your goddamn palace in Lambeth. Right, one palace speaking to another palace, right, and letting all the minions in the middle hear what they've got to say to each other. And people are saying to the Archbishop, you know what? Talk about Rwanda, and they want to send people to Rwanda, and he's already got himself in trouble for that too. But this one, I think the Archbishop should just be like, well, because I don't know if the Queen, whether or not the Queen's asked him to have a word, but I can't see the Queen really doing that. Yeah, when her Jubilee started tomorrow. Right, so I can't really see the Queen saying to him, you know what, So I think Justin Welby's probably just said this off his own back because, at the moment, yeah, his mind is filled with COVID because he's self-isolated because the bitch ass has got COVID, right? But he is a man of forgiveness, and this is what you've always got to remember. So we don't know whether, where he's speaking from. What part he's speaking from, whether he's speaking from, from a point of real forgiveness as a Christian, or whether he's speaking from a point of a man who lives in a bloody big palace. So Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner have been issued with a questionnaire by the police over Beargate, and Boris Johnson must be jumping as high as you like for joy because, when was it? February, I think. February this year, or was it February last year? The police said, well, listen, we're not interested in that because it's just a whole pack of foolishness. And they got so much pressure piled upon their backsides, right? From the Tories, right? The one incident, right? After, they've had to, with Boris Johnson, there's incidents they've had to forget. We've had to forget about the Dancing Queen ABBA party. And have you heard about the new ABBA avatars, right, in Stratford East, right? I think ABBA's brilliant band, great music, do you know what I mean? But I don't think I could go to an ABBA concert or, right, be playing loud ABBA while driving in my car. Right? So if I hear ABBA when I'm out or something like that, I can always sing it loudly in my head. But for some reason I can't get down to it. But anyway, so Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner now, right? So because of all the the lies in the first place, right? Where they didn't mention Angela Rayner being there, and then when it's all come out, do you know what I mean? It's too late to say, well, yeah, Angela Rayner was there because they said, oh no, you look at that, they're lying about Angela Rayner. They said she wasn't there, right? Whether or not the question was asked, right? But once they found out she was there, it all, that's when it just went completely downhill for the Labour Party. Of course, right? Because it's, as I said, for people from the left, right, there's only people from the right can have they can have 5 or 6 incidents, half a dozen incidents, right? To the person from the left, 1 incident, they can have 6. Right, and that's why you see there's so many parties, right, like the ABBA party and things like that, that just had to be. They just had to just allow that, right? Because Keir Starmer, right? I think Keir Starmer sort of, because for these guys, yeah, our life, they're just playing a big chess game with all of these guys, right? That's what they're playing with our lives. So I think Keir Starmer, right, has overstepped where he said, "I will resign. I will do the right thing, right? If right, I get a fixed penalty notice, I will resign, right?" And I think that's just gone one step too far for Boris Johnson, and that's why they've had to go and get the corrupt police, because the police is already, this country is, right? Our police, the government is corrupt, the media is corrupt, and the police is corrupt, right? So there's corruption all through, right? So that's why after the police have said, listen, we're not going to be dealing with that because there's nothing to see here. After all that, they've still managed to make the police reopen it. And me, I can't stand up for Keir Starmer because Keir Starmer voted for the Brexit deal, and anybody who voted for the Brexit deal, in my mind, as far as I'm concerned, is an arse, is an idiot. If you voted Brexit, you're an arse. And if you're a politician who voted for the Brexit deal, then you are a bigger arse than those arses that voted for you. I think that makes you a double backside. So so we'll see. Have to see how that goes with Keir Starmer, because I have a feeling, yeah, that they might I have a feeling that the Tories might be playing. There's a major game they might be trying to play here, right? And they might be trying to get rid of Keir Starmer, and then try and get someone who's more left wing, right, into the leadership of the Labour Party, because the Tories will look at that and think, oh well, if we get someone who's a real lefty, then we can really go at them again with the anti-Semitism, because that's what they'll draw that back again, right? And they'll tell you about things like a coalition of chaos, and you think, well, can you really speak about any chaos? But that's the type of things they'll do. So I'm just wondering whether or not, yeah, that this could be one of their ploys. So they put so much pressure on the police, so the police have to find, yeah, Keir Starmer, because Keir Starmer's already played he's already played that card, so he's got to go. He's got no choice. He's got to go, and Angela Rayner's also got to go. Right, so then Labour could have a leadership contest, and the Tories at the same time could be going for a leadership contest as well, because obviously if Boris Johnson doesn't get enough votes, right, then they'll have to have a leadership contest, right, and if they do that to Keir Starmer, and they've got one as well, then I think that they will hope, right, that they can install someone from the left, right, because they know that this country, right, is almost guaranteed to shoot itself in the foot again and give the Tories another chance. Yeah, probably with or without Boris Johnson, right? Because for some reason, and don't ask me why, because I don't know. All I can say to you is, you know me already. I will just tell you, it's just the people that just damn racist fools. But for some reason, right, the people of this country always seem to think to themselves, well, even though, yeah, we're going to food banks, right, we're begging for money on the streets, right, we can't afford, right, to rent our house or to pay our mortgage, right, we're missing meals, right, we can't afford to pay our energy costs, right, the food costs have gone through the roof, right, the fuel costs to fill up your car or your van, right, are astronomical, but still, we think we're Tories. You fucking asses. Even though, right, a man said, you know what, we need to redistribute the wealth, right, and spoke about the things that we really need in this country, right, to take back, our utility companies, and take back all of our trains, and and all, right, of the things that had been sold off, to take them back, right? And the people of this country was like, no, we need that money from all of our utilities and the train companies, and the CO2 and the car parks, the hospital car parks, and even the care for the elderly. We need all that money to go into private hands, because we are stupid racists and we're just idiots. And Boris Johnson and Priti Patel said she's going to send people who look like you, that's me, to Rwanda. And that's all we are interested in, is sending people like you, me, to Rwanda. You fucking idiots. And the United Kingdom is running short of GPs. Running short of GPs. Do you understand, right, that in this country, there's no shortage of shortages. There's no shortage of racists, and there's no shortage of idiots. And you know why? And you know why there's no shortage of shortages? Because there's no shortage of racists, and there's no shortage of idiots, and that's why there's no shortages of shortages. Right? Because everything, right, is in short measure in this country. So we have a lack of GPs. A lot of them probably have gone off to Australia and places like that, because you know what, they don't want to work in this goddamn racist hole of a country, right? And can you blame them? Because all that happens is they're just abused by our government. Right? You know, a long time ago, right, the government privatized all the GPs. Right? So all the GPs are all private. So what do you expect? Right? You know, it would simply be better, right, for them to train the GPs and then have the GPs work for the NHS. Okay, that would be better, right? Because a long time ago they should have just said, well, you know, GPs, you work under license, and you know, if you haven't got a license, then you know you can't work as a GP. So then all GPs work under the NHS. You know, it doesn't take, right, a brain surgeon to work this shit out. Right? It doesn't take a brain surgeon to work this out, right? So that's the reason why, right? Because they privatized it a long time ago. So that's why they're all privatized. Yeah, and you know, the same with the dentists. Right, they're all private. These are all individual private companies. They might have the NHS sign out there, but it just means, you know what? If we're nice enough to do an NHS service, then that's what we will do. Right? But you know, because they don't get paid enough from the government to run a dentist service, service properly. You know, the government, you know, it's quite simple. The government should just pay the money to run the service. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, a dentist, they're earning 65, they're earning about 65 grand a year, right? You know, put their wages at like say 80 grand or whatever, right? And just pay for all the stuff and just say to them, well, this is how much teeth we expect you to do. But you see, because they're all working under, like, you know, and privately, right, now when they're doing NHS work, it's not beneficial for them because they can make much more, right, in the private sector. So you know, for each, you know, because they'll have like a set money for each NHS patient, right, which is not going to cover, which is only going to cover, like, you know, just maybe a filling, and you know, and maybe just a filling, and maybe some cleaning and maybe an extraction, but it's not going to cover your, like, your root canal or your, you know, when you need work on your nerve endings and all shit like that. It's not going to cover all that shit, right? So this is the reason why they should just say, well, we're paying you 80 grand a year, right? You just do all the work. We supply all the equipment to you. Right? And you know, all the equipment supplied to you from the government, and then you just do all the work. You know, same as they should work with the GPs, but no. No. As far as they're concerned, that shit is stupid. Right? Stupid. Right? That's like, you know, having a hospital and owning the building. Why not sell the building and then rent it back? I mean, that would be the best thing to do. Sell the building, rent it back. That's the level of stupidity we have in this country, because that's what they do. They sell the buildings and rent them back, and you think, what the fuck are you doing? In the same way, privatise all the GPs, privatise all the doctors. Then you wonder why the fuck you're in so much fucking problems. They're in all these problems, yeah, is because this country, right, has been run by shitbags, by people who have no idea what the fuck they're doing. And so that's why they've sold everything off, and right now everything is coming, it's all a perfect storm. It's all come as a perfect storm, right? For them, they come to, oh, well, you know, COVID, you know, it's COVID's fault. That's why all these things have happened to us, because of COVID. Fuck you. It's nothing to do with fucking COVID. It's because you've sold off all of our stuff. You've sold off the gas, the electric, the water, right? You've sold off the hospital, NHS hospital car parks. Right? You've sold off the CO2. You've sold off care for the elderly. Right? You've sold off the GPs and the dental surgeries. You've sold off the hospital buildings. Right? You've sold off the gas storage. What the fuck was you expecting? It's all come as a perfect storm now. And that's why it's hitting us so fucking hard. Because these people are shit fucking bags, and they're a bunch of fucking arses, right? And the people who are going to suffer the most out of this is you and I, right? The fucking poor and the working classes is going to suffer the most out of this perfect storm, how it's just hit us like a fucking freight train. That's the shit what's happening. ethics chief has threatened to quit. Lord Geit has asked Boris Johnson to explain why he has not broken the ministerial code as he's been fined by the police. And Boris Johnson has said, I didn't break the ministerial code. That's honestly what he said. He just wrote back to him and said, I didn't know that I was breaking the law. Oh, right. Well, that's fair enough then, because that to me seems like a fair enough excuse. If you don't know that you're breaking the law, right, then I think we should go to Pentonville, to Belmarsh, and to whatever other prison you can come up with, because you must know them all, right? Whatever other you can come up with, Wandsworth too, right? Or I was gonna say the ladies one, but that shit's closed down. Right, Holloway, right, was my favourite prison. If I'd ever went to prison, I would have wanted to be put into Holloway. I don't know why, right? But so you can mention them all, right? And we can go to all those prisons and we can say to everybody in there who didn't know they was breaking the law, and everybody who says, Mesa, right, we'll let them all out, right? We'll say, wonderful, come out. Out, go on, you're out. If you don't know you're breaking the law, right, is that right a defence in law that you didn't know you was breaking the law, right? Do we need to ask a barrister? Right? Is that what we should do? Should we get in contact with a barrister and ask a barrister if we didn't know we was breaking the law? Right? Is that a defence within the law? The UK pound has been destroyed by Boris Johnson. The Bank of America has said to the Bank of England, the UK pound is like an emerging currency. It's equivalent to the peso. To the peso. I'm like, well, at least, right, give me one of those poncho things, yeah, and a big hat, right, and we should all get at least a pound of cocaine each. It's Mexican, so, we've got to get something out of the deal, right? The peso, imagine that, right? That's how the US is looking at our currency. They're saying it's equivalent to the motherfucking peso. They're saying Boris Johnson has fucked you lot up. I told you, Boris Johnson has done more than 100 years worth of damage, because now the US government, right, the Bank of America, which is not, well, they're not like the Bank of England. I think they're a lot different to how the Bank of England is over there. So they're just one of their big banks. But the Bank of America has had to tell the Bank of England, listen, man, your currency is getting fucked up over here. What the hell's going on, man? How's your currency getting so fucked up, man? What the fuck's going on, man? Seriously, our currency, right, has been absolutely, it's been trashed. I mean, by obviously Brexit was just really destroyed it. But obviously Boris Johnson, right, with his oven ready deal, which everybody who had 1 ounce of sense in their head, right, could have told you, listen, this is going to be really fucked up for us. Anybody could have told you that, right? Apart from, right, the Brexiters who wanted to push through, right? Because most of them, especially like you people like Jacob Rees-Mogg, they're just doing that shit for tax purposes. But you see, the thing was, right, the people of this country, they're doing it for actually racist purposes. Right? So obviously people like Jacob Rees-Mogg, they just ride along that track and just go with that, So, but the pound itself, yeah, has been absolutely destroyed. So we'll have to see how that situation is playing out. But it's not a good situation. It's not a good situation at all. Yeah, and again, right, more chaos again, right, with the travel chaos, because once again the police, right, themselves had to come out, right, to the people, right, that have been waiting outside for 10, 12, 14 hours to say to them, fly today, today you're not flying, right? So on for pack up of things and piss off home, right? That's how the police done. No, the police was much more polite than that. Right, but I think, right, that what they should do is they should just get like an African traffic warden to come and just tell these people. You can just come and say, ah, you're now fly to there. You're not going to fly to there. And done. Right, that's what I think they should do. Right, or they could just get like a West Indian food shop owner, right, to go and tell them because yes, their people not easy. They'll just go. I tell you, you're not fly, right? So pack up your things and go home now. Leave right now. No bother with your bomber club business. Fuck off, man. So that's what they should do. They should just get like, African travel water and just say, ah, I tell you, you're not flying today. So you're not flying. You're going to stay here. Why don't you go back home and go and be nice to your wife? Because your wife looks upset with you. Because you can't argue with them people. That's the thing. You can't argue with those people. So they had to send the police out to tell these people, you know what? Yeah, you're not flying today, right? Because that's the chaos, right? Because of Boris Johnson. Because all of this is more Brexit than anything else. That's what all this shit is related to. It's much more Brexit than anything else, right? And let's move on to some Brexit stuff. The only man who can fit into a lady's size 10 pencil skirt, Jacob Rees-Mogg, has said, right, the chance to abolish EU restrictions on vacuum cleaners is one of the biggest Brexit bonuses. Yeah, I mean, that's, to be straight, that's what I was a little concerned about. You know, the vacuum cleaners. Yeah, I mean that. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. All I do know, right, is that Ireland may have a shortages of potatoes, right, because of something to do with the potato seeds, and once the proper rules start to kick in, this by 2023, they reckon. They might have a shortage because they're not going to be able to transport obviously the seeds because they've been in the ground in Scotland, because they're transported from Scotland to Ireland. But obviously, Ireland is in the EU, so there's a lot more restrictions on things like potato seeds, which I think kicked in straight away when we left the EU. It kicked in straight away, so we wasn't allowed to. So it's a major thing where because the potatoes haven't been in the ground, right? So you can't export them into the EU. So one of those. I think obviously it's to do with it's to do with that there could be a bits of soil, because obviously potato seed is a potato, so obviously there could be bits of soil around them. So and it could put planting it into there into the ground in the EU. It could bring diseases. That's how they look at it. Do you know what I mean? So it could bring diseases from Britain into the EU. It doesn't work vice versa, because they can just send us whatever they want, because we can't check, because something, our ass is so motherfucking weak in this shit that we can't check shit. And Conor Burns, Northern Ireland minister, has said the protocol threatens the Good Friday Agreement. And we'll just say, well, who knew? Is that not something that we told you from the beginning? We told you, you know what, the Good Friday Agreement is in real threat, right? If with the whole Brexit malarkey, because that's what Brexit was, a malarkey, right? But with the whole Brexit bullshit, right? The Good Friday Agreement was in threat, and anybody, this, and we was saying this for years. And remember, Boris Johnson went and told these people there'll be no border in the Irish Sea, and anybody, right, who asks anybody for any paperwork, right, send that paperwork to Boris Johnson. Right now, 10 Downing Street, should be a flood with paperwork, because they should have all taken him literally and all sent him the paperwork. That's what they should have all done. Just send it to him, right? And said to him, well, you told us, right, that we wouldn't need to do this, right? But you know what? They've just gone along with it. Don't know why. but they've all just gone along with it. Stupid, right? A bunch of stupid ass racists, and this is the problem with these people. Even though their business is going to shot, so much of them voted for this Brexit shit because they're just racist fools, right? That even now they can't stand up for themselves. And I've gone so far over my time, which I didn't mean to, but let's blame the fridge, yeah, because it's the fridge's fault. So let's blame the fridge. Anyway, guys, look, this is By Any Means Necessary. I'm GMC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.